Okay, so we're excited today to give the update on our journey, our docuseries of starting a brand new, fresh recruiting company. For those of you watching, I'm sure that you may be in the same position as Clarence and I, or thinking about starting your own recruiting business. And the purpose of these videos is really to show you exactly how we're doing it, hoping that you can copy some of the things that we're doing that'll give you success and profitability. And we're here today to tell you that after 3 months of Clarence starting a recruiting business, he's brand new in recruiting, he has secured his first search. We got it last week, and we're going to show you exactly how it all went down here in this video presentation. And just to recap, Clarence and I joined forces together. We are going to pursue a new recruiting business in the cryptocurrency, blockchain, 5G, wireless telecom space. That's what I do. Clarence does blockchain and crypto. And we've been doing this now for 3 weeks together. So I've been documenting our journey since 3 weeks ago. But again, 3 months now, Clarence has been doing this pretty much, on his own in the beginning. And so it's taken that long to get this search. So it's not unusual. The point is, if you're looking to start a recruiting business, just keep in mind, it's not a lottery ticket type thing. Don't expect to get results overnight. It does take patience. It can be an emotional roller coaster, as Clarence will tell you here shortly. Lots of ups and downs, natural to feel that way, but you got to keep fighting through and keep going for it. And, we nailed it last week. We're excited about it. I'll shut up and let Clarence give you guys a shout out. Go ahead, Clarence.
No, thank you so much for turning over, Russ. And as Russ said, 3 months in the business. And to clarify a little bit, I discovered the recruiting profession 3.5 months ago. Stumbled into it while looking for work myself. And I saw the pain it was to try to get a job. That's the short version. Very painful. And then there was a position I loved. I come to find out that the gentleman that had posted that position was a recruiter. He was a headhunter. He was a solopreneur. And then I very quickly discovered, well, why am I trying to do what I'm doing when I could just be him and figure out. And then I very quickly discovered Russ, as you'll probably hear in other videos, and the rest is history. So I discovered it 3.5 months ago. But I'll shut up now too. I want to share a few things that we have here. I'm going to quickly share my screen.
Yeah, and as you're doing that, we feel like what you guys want to see is, okay, what's important to you is, how did you get this new rec? How did you get this client? Show us that. What did you negotiate with the search, the terms, the structure, and how are you going to fill it? So we're going to focus on those things. Obviously, the first two of those three, because we haven't filled the rec yet, but we'll document that too going forward. But let's give you what's most important to you.
So there's a couple of things here, right? So now in a separate video, we're going to go into our email campaign, which we're doing a very aggressive outbound sales approach, which is that automated emails. That's one of the avenues that we're taking for client acquisition. The other is brand building credibility and recognition. I think one of the biggest things in any industry that you get into is building credibility in that industry. And I think that I quickly found out why it is so important to say, well, yes, I want to be a recruiter, but it's very helpful, not 100% necessary, but to pick a niche, to pick an industry to focus on. Again, if you don't have, as Russ has said in many of his videos, if you don't have a niche picked out, don't let that stop you until you figure it out. Many times you can start learning the process of recruiting and gravitate towards something. But if you're able to come in with a niche in mind, then you can very much begin to brand yourself and to become an actual authority in your space and have recognition. So I post daily content. Sometimes there are videos like here. Now, I do have a team that does editing for me. It costs a little. I've actually found the videos don't get near as many likes as when I do things like when I run actual polls, which I'll pull up here quickly. When I run polls, I get much better results in the votes, in the engagement. But here's the kicker. Now, this is the side of it that has to do with the credibility and being in the news feed, so to speak, of the individuals that I want to attract, which are clients and candidates. There's two parts to this equation. But let me tell you how I actually attract and connect with a lot of individuals that I connect with, and that's because I'm commenting on actual content that's being put out. In Sales Navigator, I have companies that I'm tracking that I say, hey, I want the business of these companies. and I will put these companies in and follow them, and I save them on a list as potential clients. And so I get notified every time they post something. Now, this takes a little bit of work, but in some weeks I do a lot of this, some weeks a little. I probably average 3 hours a week doing this, so it's not overly taxing. Wish I had more time to do even more. But I will see when someone posts something, I will jump on, and actually I'll just show one here. And I'll see if this was a good example. Hopefully it was. But you can see, okay, this is a very big, this is a company in my niche, in my space that's huge, right? Now, if they were to post in maybe Instagram, Twitter, they would be bombed with responses. And LinkedIn, most people don't use LinkedIn so much, as a social type platform. It's more for business. So this thing, and this is a multi-billion-dollar company, they posted something here. They got 12 likes and 1 comment. So what I'll do is I'll go in here and I'll put a detailed now this was, about a promotion of an individual. Sometimes they will post about a certain topic that's going on in my industry. A lot going on right now in crypto and blockchain. If you're watching the news at all, people will post things and then I will respond and say, hey, I think that's an interesting perspective. I've also seen that XYZ, right? I'm looking to add value. Now, sometimes they'll post something, and because it's not all about knowing everything. It's not about that. It's about getting recognized. So someone will post something, and I will say, hey, I think that's great. What are your thoughts on this? Right? I'm actually engaging them to see what they respond. And, some people say, well, I don't want to ask a question. I don't want to look dumb. Well, nobody knows everything. If I add a little value and then ask, that's good. So I comment. Now, why am I commenting? Yes, I'm commenting because I want the company to see me. Here's what's more important than anything. I want the audience to see me, because these companies or these individuals, when there's influencers in the space, some of these people have 20,000 followers, right? If you comment and you're one of only person commenting, or one of only 2, or one of only 3, or you're the only one adding value and not just saying, hey, great, how insightful, but actually taking a few moments to maybe put 1 or 2 sentences extra to add some value to that conversation, other people are seeing you. You are leveraging the audience of who it is. And so by doing that, let me show you a quick response, because I want to show you how we actually got our first client.
And while you're pulling that up, Clarence, this type of strategy that you're demonstrating right now, and I do the same thing. Obviously, I teach this. The reason why I like it so much and the reason why it's so effective is when you brand yourself on LinkedIn, over 800 million users on the platform, and you're providing content on a daily basis, you are then doing what I call pull marketing, not push marketing, by Seth Godin in the book that he's written, Permission Marketing, which I highly recommend everyone reads. Back when I started recruiting in 97 with Aerotech, the push marketing strategy worked really well. I could make 50 cold calls a day. I could send emails out. I could literally show up at a manager's door, a place of business, with some donuts and bagels and get a job rec from them that day. That type of strategy over the years has been less effective because there's so many recruiters now, that have gone into recruiting that were doing other professions, right? So the industry is a little bit saturated. So you got to be different. You got to have the pull marketing strategy in place, which is attracting inbound leads. I've noticed that when I get an inbound lead, a client or a candidate that sees some piece of content that I put on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, they follow me, they're commenting to me, they're DMing me, they're raising their hand saying, Russ, I saw that video last week and that was really good stuff. Thanks for putting that out there and educating me. And then we start talking, we build a relationship that way. That has been an amazing way to get new recruiting clients and candidates from what I've seen.
No, absolutely. I agree 100%, Russ. And it very much is another great book on that very, very topic. And I've read most of Seth Godin's books, The Dip, Purple Cow. I haven't read that one, so I need to go and read that one.
Yeah.
I need to step up my game. Yep. Permission Marketing. But another one, is The Thank You Economy by Gary Vaynerchuk in 2012. 10 years ago, it's still very applicable today. He was able to grow his parents' liquor store business. They converted it to online retail for wine. He was able to scale that from $3 million a year in revenue to over $40 million a year in revenue in less than 2 years by doing what we're doing here, commenting on other people's, at the time, Twitter, YouTube. And so, yes, very, very relevant today.
Yeah.
So now here's one where, and again, we can do separate videos where people are connecting with me. I had 3 top players connect with me today, the last few hours, and we'll show some of those examples. But here is one such example where I was commenting on other people's content. A lady, Lisa, very nice lady, she liked something that I commented on. So I went and connected with her. Now, a lot of people will just connect, or maybe they'll connect and write a book and say, hey, I'm a recruiter. Hey, I'm a recruiter. I'll find you somebody fast, but like immediately selling. Right?
Yeah.
Like trying to cram it down people's throat. That's called spamming. Yeah, that's called spamming. So I connected with her. Hi, Lisa. I saw you liked one of my comments here on LinkedIn. Plus, now here's something to remember in life. To be interesting, you need to be interested. Take interest in what the other person is doing. So many people are trying to cram their service down somebody else's throat. Take interest in what other individuals in life are doing, and you'll be amazed at the amount of openness and receptiveness you'll receive. But anyway, hi, Lisa. I saw you like one of my posts here on LinkedIn, or one of my comments here on LinkedIn. Plus, I see you're moving things from traditional finance to decentralized finance. In other words, crypto. Figured I would reach out and connect. Now, since then, I quit saying figured I'd reach out and connect because it's pretty obvious that I'm connecting. But I pretty much stay with that same thing. I find something interesting to say about the person, a compliment, a genuine observation and compliment. She responded and said, hey, happy to connect. Are you a headhunter, right? And we had a conversation. Now, I've had hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of these conversations. I'm doing many per day. So don't think that you do this one time and this lands. No, this is one of many. It's a gigantic pipeline. But long story short, we ended up having a call. And she said, hey, I love what you're doing. And she loved my openness. I didn't try to sell her and push anything. She said, hey, I have several clients that I work with that, what she does is she does mentoring and consulting to help new businesses in the crypto space launch, right? Mm-hmm. So she said, hey, we have the same level of clients, we have the same target audience. She said, I have some great people, I'd love to pitch some your way. I said, yeah, absolutely. Hey, I would love that. Lo and behold, 24 hours, she introduced me to someone. I said, wow, that's amazing. I wasn't expecting that fast. She introduced me to another lady, and we'll just call her Pam. She introduced me to Pam. Now, if you had noticed in the message, this was November 3rd. So this was over 6 weeks ago. This is when we first connected. She introduced me to the other lady. The other lady, we connected, and she said, hey, I really want to use your service. I said, hey, absolutely. She said, I'm trying to raise funding. And she had asked for some tips. She said, I know you're involved. And this goes back to the authority in your space, right? I know you talk to a lot of people in the industry, Clarence. I'm trying to get funding. I'm trying to do some fundraising. I told her, and now, granted, again, this was just over 2 months into my business, right? I didn't know a whole lot of people, but, by comparison to what I will know, but I actually had met a lot already. I had a list of pretty much all of the venture capital firms in the space, right? The investors. I had, between building it online and buying some leads online, I said, hey, listen, I'll connect you with a few people that may be able to help, but here's a list. If you contact these people, you may get something. She ended up getting millions of dollars in funding, right? Now, at no point did I force her to do my business. I said, hey, how can I help this person? Because good things will come to it if I do this with enough people. Some of that will start to come back. She came back. We closed a $25,000 deal where she gave exclusivity and said, hey, whoever you bring me, unless they're a dud, which we have an all-star that we're going to bring her. But she said, I trust you, Clarence. I trust Russ. I trust that you're going to bring me the right person. I'm not posting anything. You run with it. And at the end, when I get the candidate I need, I know you're going to deliver. You'll get the $25,000, right? It's much better to work that way.
Let me call time out for a second. So let me kind of recap real quick to the audience. Sure. And guys, I know we're taking our time here. This may feel long-winded to you, but this isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. We want you to see all the things that we're doing to launch our recruiting business. It's important that we give you these details. So hang in there, okay? All this stuff's gonna wrap up and make sense to you. But just to recap, so Clarence basically saw a post on LinkedIn. He sets up his alerts on Sales Navigator like he showed you with some targeted companies. He starts engaging with this lady, Lisa, gets very specific with her as you saw in the message, which makes her think, man, this guy really cares about me. He's not some average, basic, lazy recruiter out there that I see every day that's hitting me up with the same generic message. I'm a recruiter. Let me fill your roles. People don't want to see that. It doesn't resonate. It doesn't elicit a response. So he did that. Lisa sees it. Lisa's also seeing Clarence's content on LinkedIn and realizing that he's an authority figure within crypto because he puts that out there every day. And then she introduces him to a lady named Pam who actually has needs. That's how it happened, guys. That's how we got our first requisition last week for $25,000. I just wanted to kind of bring that in and highlight it so everyone understands. It wasn't a cold email. It wasn't a cold call. It was from his LinkedIn activity. So this can be scaled. That's what we're doing. And there's no reason that you can't do it either. And the things that we're doing, guys, are essentially free. I mean, it doesn't cost you any money to go on LinkedIn and engage and put content out there. Now, if you're going to get Sales Navigator, it's $100 a month. Okay, big deal. That is a worthy calculated investment for your recruiting business.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And so then, and yes, and just like Russ said, that was, and a lot of people maybe don't want to do this, traditional salespeople, because they say, well, you can't measure this, right? You can't measure. I know if I send so many emails and I get such responses, I know my response rate. This is not something that's directly measurable, but if you do this with enough consistency you don't need to measure anything. Measure your bank account. But we ended up getting this role. Now, here was the other thing too. Here's what separates us, and Russ teaches this perfectly. It did not take me long to figure out how much we stand out, and I'm not just saying that. We created a posting for this $25,000 search. You see it very detailed here, and we got some feedback between myself and between the lady, of course, and her team, and we came up with very detailed, requirements. Sometimes it's this long, sometimes they're shorter, depending, but we get a lot of detail there. And if you can hear this, I'll try to play quickly. We do a promotional video that goes along with our posting, and in a different video, we'll go over our dream method.
Yeah, it looks like the audio is not working.
Okay, so you probably can't hear this.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Like what this page is, guys, is like when we get a new requisition, we go ahead and develop this web page that you're seeing right now. It's an exclusive URL that we send out to candidates because the candidates that we're recruiting are pretty sophisticated. A lot of them are working right now. We don't go after active job seekers. We go after the passive candidates, the A players that are meeting and exceeding company objectives year over year. Those are the candidates that our clients want to see. So when we email them or cold call them, they're going to say, hey, can you send me a description of what this is? I'll look at it and give you a call back after I'm done with work here. No problem. So we fire over that page, and it's like, it wows them. And there's a video of us explaining the job, explaining our client. So it gives them every detail they would need to get their interest level high, because again, they're passive candidates. Like, they're not looking for another job, but when they see what we have, they consider it. And that's what that page is.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And then I'll finish by saying this one piece, which is because once we got the posting, we got the position, we made a very detailed posting with promotional video. I then engaged a grand total of 19 people. I went and did a very detailed search for qualified people. Actually, the people that we were looking at, I live here in Brazil half of the year. I was actually looking here in Brazil and in Argentina. Many reasons for that. But I sent this out, and I speak the local language. I found a gentleman that speaks English, but I speak to him in his language, here. And I sent him this link, the video. He wrote back, said, "Hi, Clarence, how are you?" He said, "Thank you for sharing." He said, "I looked at it and I loved the position. I love what it's about. I very much want to apply," including congratulations about the level of detail that you put into this position. It is so rare to find a position that is so well explained and with the video. So, hey, how can we proceed? I very much am ready to hop on a call and apply for this position. And so
that's amazing right there, because the devil is in the details, guys. In any business that you create and start, doesn't have to be a recruiting, it could be anything. You can't be lazy. You have to take these steps to present your product in a professional fashion. So not only did the candidate give you that feedback, but the client, from my understanding, we share this page with our client after we take the requisition from them. We'll say, hey, Mr. Manager, Mrs. Manager, we developed this page to advertise to our prospective candidates for you. Can you do a once-over, make sure everything aligns properly with what we discussed on our discovery call? By the way, I did a personalized video on this page describing your company, why somebody would want to work there, and more details of the role. If there's anything on this page that you feel is incorrect, let us know and we'll make the edit and get it, and then we'll move forward with it. When we do that, I know you can tell us, Clarence, like the clients are like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like no recruiter does this.
No, they're blown away. And in fact, actually, the first month in the business, it was actually the first month of knowing about recruiting. So a couple weeks into my business, we did have a client, potential client. At that time, that was a pure contingency deal. It would have been a $60,000 billing. We came very close to our candidate also getting that role. I mean, it was very close. But the area where I say, and Russ will agree, where we won was, yes, our candidate did not get that role because we had a very short window of time, literally less than a week to get the candidate, given the urgency. But that client wrote back to us and said, hey, listen, I picked a guy that he was already working with, ended up getting it. He said, listen, I need to fill 5 roles next June. I'm not coming to anyone else. He said the level of detail, the professionalism, not only for me, the client, the company, he said, but for the candidates, the way you present it, he said, I don't want to work with anybody else. I want to come to you guys. So to me, that's a win.
Yeah. So we'll wrap it up. I know our intention was to do a 5-minute video, Clarence, but didn't work out that way, but so be it. Again, guys, it's important to give you all the details here so you can, along your journey, you can apply what we're doing. And I pray and hope that you get results here in short order as well. I want that for you, which is why we started this docuseries. We're going to put a video out at least once a week, if not twice a week, for you to follow us and see what we're doing. We've got some potentially big plans on the way here. As you know, Clarence bounces from Puerto Rico to Brazil. He's going to be in Puerto Rico in late December. I'm actually considering going to Puerto Rico and setting up shop there for the next 3-4 months in Q1, Q2, and really getting intentional and lifting this recruiting company off the ground. In my prior experience, when you're in an office with somebody working, 8 to 6 p.m., whatever it takes, in the grind every day in the trenches, that's called being in the arena, and that's fulfillment, and that's how you really get a company off the ground. It's not from doing Zoom calls from miles away. So we're actually considering that, and if we do that, we're going to document every step of the way for you. Do live streams. You can follow our journey. You can see what we're doing to get new recruiting clients, how we're getting candidates, and how we're going to really scale and grow this recruiting company to a multi-million-dollar business, hopefully in 1 or 2 years. And we're going to document the entire thing for you. So.
Absolutely.
Awesome. That's all I got. Let's let him go.
Bye, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.